All right. Hey, welcome back, guys. All right, so this is a part two. If you didn't see part one, there is a free link there in the description box. You can check that out and then bounce back over here. But just so you know, this is one of those storylines where it's really weird, but technically this almost feels like it's part four because the previous two collective messages that I posted have all been about some King of Wands. I don't usually have like storylines that go on and on and on, but over the course of 2 days, so yesterday and today, we are getting the same lead character and some version of the same story. I don't know what that means, but you might want to check out the other two videos, plus part one of this one. So just check in the bonus general message playlist and you will find those most recent uploads if you missed them. But here's where we left things off in part one. I said it's like somebody's feeling like they're, starving out in the desert. And then sure enough, the next card we have is literally this dry docked boat that is magically going to start floating through the desert. There's no water here, but instead it's lifted up on the feathers, maybe the feathers of the divine. Kind of has like a sci-fi Noah's Arky feel. The sails on the ship are actually cypress trees. It's very, it's surreal. It feels, and if you look closely, we actually have somebody who's breaking away from like the mothership and is, in this little teeny tiny, like, I guess I'll say lifeboat or maybe kayak. So this could be the vision of his escape, which is what we talked about in part one, like a prison break moment. And I'm thinking that with the Six of Swords, like the tension that he's been under, that this King of Wands has been under, has reached like critical mass. And the tension is coming from this subconscious pull that he has to his rose, who we will call the High Priestess. Again, you'll need to watch part one to like be in the story right now to understand why that sounds all cryptic. But you'll understand the characters if you watch part one. Okay, tell me about the Six of Swords. This is moving into calmer waters, but this is also like, prison break moment. We have the Magician. Okay, this storyline has had a decidedly powerful, like living in my head kind of story while, I live in my mind thinking about her, but in my day-to-day reality, I lie to myself and I sit here completely closed off. We saw these cards in part one. I always leave the cards out in case I want to re-reference them as I do these part twos. That element of like living in the land of no contact, but holding on to her, has reached this point where he can't help but make his fantasy become reality. What he's been manifesting, what he's determined to manifest, is a genuine face-to-face meeting with her instead of living in this realm of, I only think of her, I hold on to a memory of her, but of course I can't have anything to do with her. I have to lie and say that I can't be with my rose. This is like that the 5D realm is actually starting to like collide into his 3D world, is what it looks like. So, and it is because he's been manifesting this from his like soul space for a long time. That pull of a High Priestess's energy, the subconscious, like he can feel her energy all the time, and that's gotten more real to him than his day-to-day real tangible life. You can live in a fantasy for so long, but then at some point it's like fantasy has crossed over to becoming something that's almost tangible anyway, and now he just has to take physical action in the real world to face her, genuinely face her. This is every like heartbeat, every moment has been like kind of like if you could think something into existence by just thinking about it so much that finally it's there in front of you. It's kind of like he's breaking the time-space barrier and, like literally conjuring up this opportunity. Now, granted, what it really is he has to take physical, actionable steps to go see her. He has to make the break from this. But in his mind, he's already seeing what it's going to be like to face her again. He's in transit in this storyline right now. We have a 5 of Wands. There is huge, we could say argument going on with his absence. There could be it could be a big kerfuffle in the location that he's leaving. We saw him in like this patriarchal situation, and in this storyline he seems to be married. We saw the Hierophant, or let's put it this way, if not married, in some high level commitment that was passed on down to him. This could be a very weird old fashioned concept of, you inherit the family and you operate exactly the way I have. Maybe he inherits the family business, and there are rules and regulations that go along with that. It feels very dogmatic, it feels very restrictive, and it feels like his personal choices have been overridden by his responsibilities that were passed on to him through some like paternal lineage scenario, and that cut her out of his life. It did feel like he's in a marriage as well as like a set of rules. When he makes a break to go toward his rose anyway, his high priestess, and he's saying, I'm going to compartmentalize and pretend that I don't have those other rules. Why can't I use compartmentalization to my advantage and say, I'm not going to think about the family, the rules, the regulations. I'm going to pretend that doesn't exist, and I'm going to go toward my high priestess. That's how I'm going to manipulate the rules that I've been, steeped in. I think this is like, whoa, the family didn't expect him to find that loophole, or the group didn't expect him to find the loophole. There's all kinds of, like upset with him making this, what I call the prison break, and going toward the high priestess or his rose. There's all kinds of kerfuffle that occurs because I think he's physically like getting in a vehicle and taking off. He may or may not be explaining where he's going, but I think that the group that he is peeling himself away from, they might be like, well, what do you mean? Where's King of Wands? Where'd he go? They might all be starting to like gossip and throw out ideas. What do you think he's doing? Where is he? Where is he? The Hermit, the Ace of Pentacles, I feel like all he said to them is, I need some time alone. I think he's breaking away from whether, like I said, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a family oriented, like it feels like a very oppressive group scenario where what he's supposed to be, who he's supposed to be, the thing that was handed down to him, the mantle that was passed to him, he is taking a break from that. And he's just announcing, I'm taking a break. I'm going into silent mode. I'm leaving. I'm turning off my phone. And it does leave the rest of the group in like turmoil for a minute. But they might all be saying, oh, I guess he just needs some time alone. I think that they're trying to figure out what he's doing, where he's going. In his mind, this is not just a prison break. In his mind, he's testing the waters, I will say, of could I have a new life? What if I never went back to the situation? First, he was just going to kind of like dip out for a minute. But the further he gets down the road away from the group and the rules that he was steeped in, the more he's thinking, because look, we have this hermit who's like hatched out of the eggshell, and what they hold in their hand is like the all-seeing eye, which is also kind of like a hatching egg with this sailing ship and a new sun, a new dawn. The idea that he could be an independent person who does not have to bow to the rules of others. He could live a life that he wants to live. This is him practicing this. I don't know that it's going to stick, but this is him making the prison break, going out, living the life that he would choose to live for himself for at least a moment, escaping and saying, I'm going to get a taste of what it would be like if I were in charge of my own life. I'm going to compartmentalize the fact that I supposedly have all of these responsibilities that were handed down to me, and I was supposed to compartmentalize everything I wanted and just follow the rule book. Well, what if instead I compartmentalized the rule book so I could push it out of my head and I could do what I wanted? I'm going to do that. I'm going to manipulate the rules I've been given to my advantage for once in my life. I'm going to get a taste of what it would be like if I did what I wanted to. Is he really, he's not going to be talking to the group, the family, the whatever he's been attached to. What is Queen of Pentacles in the reverse? Queen of Pentacles in the reverse is, I don't know if there is just an acknowledgement that there's some, how do I say this? I always look at this like a seed pod that has been stored for a long time and never planted, so it hasn't ever blossomed and grown. And there's this awareness with it in the reverse. What if there is no way to, no matter how much I water it or plant it in the soil now, could it ever grow? Maybe not. He's contemplating that. What if there is no way, even if I walk away from the things that have been so confining, could I really stay, or is this just one little dose of freedom? I don't know. The Queen of Pentacles in the reverse could be a karmic, though, also somebody who's like, but I want your money. I want this. I want that. That seed pod being closed off could be akin to like a fist closing tightly around something. This could be the ex that he was with, or this could be the concern that he has moving forward. Let's see. We have a Nine of Wands in the reverse. We have a King of Cups in the reverse. And we have a Queen of Wands upright. I don't know. I'm getting two things on this. On one hand, it's like there is this elation for him of being free. There is a sense of, he feels better than he ever has. But then there's also this knowledge that I think the further he gets away from the connection or the scenario that he was in, the more he feels a sense of freedom, and the more he recognizes how very toxic it's been. But his mind also turns to this Queen of Wands. Now, this could be his rose. This is somebody who's in this hospital bed with all of these, like her spleen is outside of her body. And like, this is somebody who's an artist and painter. It's very much like a tip of the hat to Frida, the painter. But there is this powerful, beautiful, and tragic character that his mind turns to, which is why I'm thinking he's thinking about either how little he gave to his rose, how much he may have wounded her, now that he is freeing himself from something of the past, at least briefly, and he's able to see just how toxic things have been. Or he's starting to realize how little he gave his rose and how he didn't give any love, and how he may have disrespected her, and really, from her viewpoint, it would have been devastating, but also, why would she give anything to me when I never watered the soil for her? I don't know. This almost feels like, as much as he's feeling this elation of being free, I feel like almost immediately the reality of, I can't just go chasing down the person that I'm so attracted to, my rose, my big temptation that I've stayed away from all this time, the person that I had a dalliance with, who I loved, but then I instantly stayed away from her because I went back to, my real life, which was this life of dogma and predefined rules. I'm wondering if it's clicking for him now that he's away from that environment that was so oppressive, the reality of what he's done to his rose. Of course, she wouldn't want to give to me. She'd be closed off to me. She might even loathe me at this point. She may have been pretending that she's not wounded, when there's no way that the way I behaved wouldn't have been causing her some kind of pain. She probably thinks that I'm her karmic. Maybe she even believes that she was karmic at the time when she cared about me. I'm wondering if he's starting to have that sink in. This is a complicated one. Ace of Swords. He's starting to realize she may have detached from me entirely. So the very person that he's like escaping to go and say, I have to see her, I think the closer he travels to get toward her, the more he's realizing she has perhaps moved on and has severed all thoughts of me, all connections to me. I never thought of it through her lens. I've only thought of how I've been trapped, how I've, thought of her all the time and tried to pretend that I wasn't. We have the World upright. This World card is, it's stony, right? If this is the new world that he has cultivated with her, which is one that almost feels like alien territory, it's almost like he's starting to realize the closer he gets to seeing his rose, the landscape of how she may feel about me or what may still exist between us could be completely barren. Well, I would say that could be fair. Doesn't matter. He's still going. He's still headed toward her. He is, no matter what, he's traveling, possibly traveling light, traveling on a motorcycle, traveling on just some kind of like, it doesn't matter, I have to go do this, I have to. And he's a king of swords with sooty little angel wings. This is my king of swords, it's like the fallen angel. This is somebody who, despite the fact, I think he knows the severity of how much he left his rose out in the cold, because we do have that 5 of Pentacles now, and this was a divine connection, and he knows that what he did was not divine. That's why he's got those sooty fallen angel wings. He knows that the way he behaved, he actually, like, he took what was a divine connection and treated it poorly in order to stay in some kind of dogma and, you know, kind of like deny and stay away from the very thing that he should have perhaps gravitated toward. So he's mistreated like a divine gift, is what it says here. And he knows this. But that's why, I mean, he can't go back and undo what's already been done. He can only try to come forward. This time with the knowledge, like he's at least bravely still heading toward her, but he's aware he was insanely selfish before. Completely. I mean, we saw him as a Knight of Wands before. Now we see him as a King of Wands in the reverse. So he knows that he took from her because he needed something that felt good. He needed the divine in her at her expense. We have this 9 of Swords. So his rose, he knows he caused tremendous distress and grief. And he left her in that space too, when he dipped back and went back to his other life. Messenger of Wands, this is the Page of Wands. This is like, oh, come on, universe. I'm praying that you're going to give me a way to explain all of this. Help me find the words. Help me find the inspiration to explain to her. Number one, how she is like the sun to my moon, the moon to my sun, how she is, he's kind of like hoping that by the time he's in front of her, he's going to find a way to explain everything that he now recognizes. 4 of Pentacles, about why he held back, about this weird walking on eggshells kind of life that he's been in. Ace of Wands, he's hoping he can at least, I mean, his strongest desire is to create peace with her, but this is also great passion. What about his family that he's leaving behind? What about that? Nurturer of Cups, that's actually a Queen of Cups with a king on it. Hang on, what does that mean? Wheel of Fortune. Is there somebody else going to be stepping in to some role? Look, he first was making a prison break, and now it seems like he's leaving for good, but it was an unofficial, I'm exiting for good. And now he's like, yeah, the family that I'm leaving behind, they'll be just fine. Somebody else will step in. Somebody else who wants that role can have it. 2 of Swords in the reverse. He doesn't, I don't know. He doesn't even feel bad about this. I'm wondering if he has like a sibling or somebody that's going to take over like the family business, somebody who wants it. Maybe he's handing over the mantle to somebody else in the family, a different family member. Oh my God, I can't believe this. I think we have to go to part 3 on this one. There will be a free link in the description box. Thanks for giving this a thumbs up. I'll see you guys in just a minute.